Like, subscribe, and comment. Summon Tionk, Krampus, werewolves, and a zombie from the shadows to feed your nightmares.
Imagine a forest so vast and dark that sunlight barely reaches the ground. Trees rise like silent giants, their branches twisting together until the sky disappears. In the old tales of Slavic lands, deep inside those woods, beyond hunters' paths and village roads, there lives a figure whispered about with fear and wonder. Her name is Baba Yaga. For generations, children heard warnings about her before sleep. Travelers spoke her name softly. Some called her a monster. Some called her a witch. Others believed she was older than either, a guardian of wild places, a keeper of dangerous wisdom. But every tale agrees on one thing. If you meet Baba Yaga in the forest, you are being tested. She is usually described as an ancient old woman with iron teeth, a long crooked nose, bony hands, and eyes sharp enough to see the truth inside a person. She is frightening, but not simple. Baba Yaga is not an ordinary villain. She may threaten, punish, help, or do all three in the same story. Even her home is a riddle. Deep among the trees stands a wooden hut. At first, it looks like a lonely cottage. Then it shifts, it creaks, it turns. The hut stands on enormous chicken legs. It can stomp through the forest, spin away from strangers, and hide its door from anyone who does not know how to approach. In many tales, a traveler must speak the proper words. Little hut, turn your back to the forest and your front to me. Only then does the house obey. Around it, stories often place a terrible fence, marked with skulls that glow like lanterns in the dark. It is not merely a home. It is a border between the human world and the unknown. And when Baba Yaga travels, she does not ride a horse. She flies in a giant mortar, steers with a pestle, and sweeps away her tracks with a broom, as if even the forest must forget where she has been. One of the most famous tales about her is the story of Vasilisa. Vasilisa was a young girl whose mother died, leaving her a small magical doll and a blessing. The doll did not look grand or powerful. It was quiet, secret, and easily hidden. But when Vasilisa fed it and asked for help, it gave her courage and guidance. After her father remarried, Vasilisa's stepmother and stepsisters treated her cruelly. They gave her the hardest work, watched for mistakes, and hoped to be rid of her. One night, they put out every flame in the house. Then they ordered Vasilisa into the forest to bring back fire from Baba Yaga. Everyone knew what that meant. They did not expect her to return. Terrified, Vasilisa walked into the woods. The trees pressed close. The path seemed to breathe beneath her feet. At dawn, a rider dressed all in white galloped past. Later, a rider in red flashed through the forest. As night fell, a rider in black thundered through the shadows. At last, Vasilisa reached the hut on chicken legs. She spoke the words, and the hut turned. Soon, Baba Yaga arrived in her mortar, sweeping away the signs of her journey. She stared at the girl and demanded to know why she had come. Vasilisa asked for fire. Baba Yaga did not give it freely. Instead, she set impossible tasks. Vasilisa had to clean the hut, cook the food, and sort great heaps of grain and seeds, work that should have taken many hands and many days. But Vasilisa was not alone. Each night, the magical doll helped her. By morning, the tasks were done. Baba Yaga returned again and again, surprised to find everything finished perfectly. At last, the old witch demanded the truth. Vasilisa answered honestly, "My mother's blessing protects me." At those words, Baba Yaga recoiled. In many versions, she wants nothing to do with blessings. She gives Vasilisa the fire she came for, held in a glowing skull lantern, and sends her away at once. Vasilisa returns home. But the fire is not ordinary. It reveals the cruelty hidden in the house and destroys the power of those who meant her harm. Vasilisa is freed, not because she defeated Baba Yaga, but because she survived the test with courage, patience, and truth. That is why Baba Yaga endures. She is not purely good. She is not purely evil. She is the forest itself, generous to some, merciless to others, ancient, hungry, wise, and wild. To the foolish, she is danger. To the brave, she may become a guide.
Long ago, in the wild lands of ancient Russia, beyond black forests and snow-bright mountains, people whispered one name with fear: Zmey Gorynych. He was no ordinary dragon. He had 3 monstrous heads, 3 burning gazes, and 3 mouths that breathed rivers of fire. When his wings passed over a village, daylight vanished beneath their shadow. When he roared, stones rolled from cliffs, and children hid in their mother's arms. Deep in a mountain cave, Zmey Gorynych guarded treasures stolen from broken kingdoms. Gold, jewels, and crowns of ancient kings. But treasure did not satisfy him. He wanted obedience. He wanted terror. Whenever the dragon grew restless, he flew down from the mountains. Fields burned, roofs collapsed. Bells rang through the villages, and the people fled as the sky seemed to catch fire. Then one day, Zmey Gorynych committed his darkest deed. He swept into the king's palace and carried away Princess Elena, beloved daughter of the realm. The kingdom fell into grief. The king declared that whoever rescued Elena would receive honor, riches, and his eternal gratitude. Brave knights answered. They rode into the mountains in shining armor, carrying polished shields and sharpened swords. But none returned. Some were lost in smoke and flame. Others vanished into the dragon's cave, never seen again. Weeks became months. Hope grew thin. Then Ivan came forward. He was not the richest warrior. He wore no dazzling armor. No songs had yet been sung about his name, but his heart was steady. When Ivan offered to face the dragon, the king warned him, "Many warriors have tried, and none survived." Ivan bowed his head and answered that he would go for those who could not. At dawn, he began his journey. He crossed dark forests where wolves watched from the trees. He waded through icy rivers. He climbed stone paths where the wind howled like spirits in the snow. At last, Ivan reached the dragon's mountain. Smoke curled from the cave mouth. The ground was black with ash. The air tasted of fire. Then the earth trembled. From the darkness came one head, then another, then a third. Zmey Gorynych towered above him, laughing until the mountain seemed to shake. "Another human has come to die," hissed the first head. "Too small," growled the second. "Too weak," snarled the third. Then all 3 mouths opened. Fire erupted across the mountainside. Ivan threw himself behind a boulder as flames rushed past. Again the dragon struck. Again Ivan escaped. His cloak smoked, his hands ached, but he did not run. As the battle raged, Ivan noticed something strange. The 3 heads would not agree. One wanted to attack from above. One wanted to crush him against the rocks. One shouted that the others were fools. Their pride tangled them like ropes. Ivan saw his chance. He called out, "Which of you is truly the strongest? Which head will claim victory?" At once, the heads began to argue. They snapped. They roared. They turned on one another, each demanding glory. In that moment, Ivan charged. With all his strength, he swung his sword. The first head fell. Zmey Gorynych screamed, and the mountain answered with thunder. Before the beast could recover, Ivan struck again. The second head crashed among the stones. Only one remained. The final head rose high, eyes blazing with fury. It unleashed fire so fierce the rocks glowed red. But Ivan stood firm. He waited for the flames to break, leaped through the smoke, and delivered one final blow. The last head fell. The mighty Zmey Gorynych collapsed, and silence returned to the mountain. Inside the cave, Ivan found Princess Elena alive among the stolen treasures. Together, they left the place of smoke and shadow and returned to the kingdom. Long ago, deep within the endless forests of old Slavic lands, there lived a mysterious spirit known as the Leshy. The villagers feared him. Hunters whispered his name around campfires. Travelers prayed they would never cross his path. For the Leshy was the guardian of the forest. No one knew exactly what he looked like. Some said he appeared as a tall man covered in moss and bark. Others claimed he could change his shape at will, becoming a wolf, a bear, or even a towering tree. His eyes glowed like emeralds in the darkness, and his laughter echoed through the woods like the cry of distant ravens. The Leshy protected every creature in his forest, every deer, every fox, every bird. The forest belonged to him. One autumn evening, a young hunter named Ivan entered the woods. He had heard stories about the Leshy, but he laughed at them, Just old tales, he said. Ivan hunted more animals than he needed. He cut down young trees for fun, and he left traps throughout the forest. As the sun disappeared behind the trees, a strange silence filled the woods. No birds sang, no wind blew. The forest seemed to be watching. Then Ivan heard footsteps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He turned around. No one was there. Again, he heard them, closer this time. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared between the trees. Its body was covered in leaves and branches. Its eyes glowed green. The Leshy had come. Ivan reached for his bow, but the spirit only smiled, a cold smile. Then the forest began to change. The trees twisted, paths disappeared. The sky vanished beneath a canopy of branches. Ivan ran. But every path led him back to the same place, again and again. The Leshy laughed, a deep, booming laugh that shook the forest. For hours, Ivan wandered, exhausted and terrified. Finally, he fell to his knees. "I am sorry," he cried. "I have harmed your forest. Please let me go." The laughter stopped. Silence returned. The Leshy stepped forward. For a moment, his terrifying face softened. The spirit raised one hand. Instantly, the trees moved aside. A path appeared, leading straight home. Ivan stumbled out of the forest before dawn. From that day forward, he never wasted an animal. He never harmed a tree without reason, and he taught others to respect the forest. The villagers noticed that the woods seemed healthier than ever. Animals returned, streams flowed clear, and sometimes, on quiet nights, people heard a distant laugh among the trees. Not a cruel laugh, but a warning, a reminder. That deep within the ancient forest, the Leshy still watches, protecting his kingdom, waiting for those who forget that nature deserves respect. And if you ever find yourself lost in a dark forest, listen carefully. The Leshy may already be following you. The end. Rusalka, the drowned maiden. Long ago, in the misty forests and winding rivers of Eastern Europe, there lived a spirit so beautiful and so terrifying that even the bravest hunters feared to speak her name after dark. She was called the Rusalka. To those who saw her from a distance, she appeared as a young woman with flowing hair that shimmered like moonlight on water. Her voice was sweet as a lullaby, and her face was so beautiful that many believed she was an angel. But the truth was far darker. The Rusalka was the restless spirit of a drowned maiden. According to ancient Slavic legends, Rusalki were once young women whose lives ended in tragedy. Some were betrayed by the people they loved most. Others suffered heartbreak, loneliness, or cruelty. When they died, their spirits could not find peace. Instead, they returned to the rivers and lakes where they had perished, waiting, watching, and seeking revenge on the living. One summer evening, a young fisherman named Ivan was returning home after a long day on the river. The sun had already disappeared behind the trees, and darkness slowly crept across the forest. As he walked along the riverbank, he heard a faint sound. Laughter. Soft and musical. It seemed to drift across the water like a gentle breeze. Ivan stopped. The forest was empty. Yet the laughter continued. Curious, he followed the sound deeper into the shadows. Soon he reached a small clearing beside the river, and there he saw her. A young woman sat on a stone near the water's edge. Her long silver hair flowed down her back. Her pale dress moved as if it were floating underwater. She looked up and smiled. "Good evening," she said softly. Ivan felt his heart race. He had never seen anyone so beautiful. "Who are you?" he asked. The woman only smiled. Then she began to sing. Her voice was unlike anything Ivan had ever heard. It was sweet, gentle, hypnotic. Every note seemed to pull him closer. The river sparkled under the moonlight. The cool night air suddenly felt warm and comforting. Without realizing it, Ivan stepped toward the water. Then another step, and another. The woman continued singing. Her eyes never left his. Soon Ivan stood at the river's edge. The water touched his boots. Still, he moved forward. Then he remembered something, a warning from his grandmother. When the moon is high, she used to say, never follow a beautiful woman near the river. Some smiles hide hungry spirits. A chill ran down his spine. Ivan blinked and looked carefully. Something was wrong. The woman's feet never touched the ground. She floated slightly above the stone, and when he looked into the river, he saw no reflection, only dark water. The beautiful maiden slowly stopped singing. Her smile widened, far wider than any human smile should. Her eyes turned black as the depths of the river. "You were almost mine," she whispered. At that moment, the river exploded with movement. Pale hands reached from beneath the water. Ghostly fingers clawed at the shore. The Rusalka rose into the air, her hair twisting like living snakes. A terrible scream echoed across the forest. Ivan turned and ran. Behind him, he could hear splashing water and the sound of cruel laughter. The spirit chased him through the darkness. Branches snapped. Cold mist surrounded him. The river seemed to follow wherever he ran, but Ivan never looked back. At last, he reached the safety of his village just as the first rays of dawn appeared. The moment sunlight touched the river, the laughter vanished. The Rusalka was gone, but villagers say she never truly disappeared. Even today, travelers speak of hearing a beautiful song drifting across lonely rivers on moonlit nights. And if you hear that song, do not follow it. Do not answer it, because somewhere in the darkness, the drowned maiden is still waiting, searching for another soul to join her beneath the cold, silent waters forever. The end. Imagine you're walking alone beside a dark river late at night. The moon reflects across the water, and everything seems peaceful. But then, you hear laughter. Not the laughter of a child. Not the laughter of a friend. A strange bubbling laugh rising from beneath the water. According to Slavic folklore, that laugh belongs to the Vodyanoy, the terrifying water demon. Long ago, villagers living near rivers and lakes feared this creature more than almost anything else. They believed the Vodyanoy ruled the depths of every body of water, waiting patiently for careless travelers to come too close. The Vodyanoy was said to look like an old man, but not a normal one. His skin was green and slimy like rotting algae. His beard was made of river weeds. His eyes glowed like fish scales beneath the moonlight, and his body was always dripping wet. Some stories claimed he could grow as large as a giant, while others said he could shrink and hide among the reeds. But no matter his size, one thing never changed. He loved dragging humans into the water. Fishermen were especially afraid of him. Before casting their nets, many would leave gifts near the riverbank: bread, tobacco, or a splash of vodka. Why? Because angering the Vodyanoy could be deadly. Legend says that one summer, a fisherman ignored the warnings. He laughed at the old stories and refused to leave any offering. That night, he sailed onto the river alone. The water was calm. The fish were plentiful. Everything seemed perfect. Then the river suddenly became silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. From beneath the boat came a scratching sound, slow, deliberate. The fisherman leaned over the edge and saw two glowing eyes staring back at him from the darkness below. Before he could react, a green hand burst from the water. The boat flipped. His scream echoed across the river. Then silence. The next morning, villagers found the boat floating upside down. The fisherman was gone. They said the Vodyanoy had claimed another victim, but the stories didn't end there. Some believed the water demon kept the souls of drowned people trapped in his underwater kingdom. Others claimed he used them as servants, forcing them to work beneath the river forever. And on stormy nights, when the wind howled across the water, people said you could hear their cries rising from below. Even today, in parts of Eastern Europe, old tales of the Vodyanoy are still told. Parents warn children not to wander too close to rivers after sunset. Fishermen still respect the water, because legends have a way of surviving. And who knows, the next time you're standing beside a quiet lake and you hear laughter coming from beneath the surface, don't lean in for a closer look. The Vodyanoy might be waiting, and once the water demon pulls you below, you may never return. Which of those creatures would you be most afraid to encounter? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more mythical creature stories from around the world.